have all written down what the first things are to you. And you also have written down what is one activity in both your personal and your professional life that you know, if you did it superbly well, that it would have marvelous results. Okay, now let's get into the heart of the application of this paradigm, which focuses upon relationships and principles rather than things, schedules, efficiency, and control. I need a volunteer. How would you like to consider that? Okay. You'd come up here, please. Your name is?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth? Thank you. Good to see you. Elizabeth, you've got... Oh, you hold this. Very, very busy life, right?
I do.
You have a work life?
I do.
Family life as well?
Mm-hmm.
Children?
Not yet.
Not yet. What's the nature of your work assignment?
Consulting.
Consulting. Do you have a part of a firm, a consulting firm?
Yes, I do. I direct an international firm.
An international firm. Mm-hmm. So you really are interfacing with all kinds of people in the firm and outside the firm.
That's right.
Do you also do direct work with the clients yourself?
That's right.
And you have a number of associates you work with?
Mm-hmm.
All around this country and throughout the world? Mm-hmm. Starting?
Yes.
Kind of like us.
That's right.
You want a rich personal life and a rich family life and also community and so forth. Do you ever feel like you get bogged down in the thick of thin things?
Yes.
Do you ever feel like your life is kind of out of balance, out of whack?
It can be.
Do you ever feel like you're in the pounding surf?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you just have one big wave after another knock you down, you stagger back, and then here comes another wave, then another one knocks you down to where it just kind of beats you up. Mm-hmm. Well, that might be analogous to all these little, small things that tend to fill our life. And that just little by little, they just accumulate. Now, your job, you can't go above this, is to get all those large rocks in the jar. Good luck. I'll describe each of the rocks as she puts them in. What's that one called?
Q2. Planning, preparation.
Right. Planning, preparation, prevention, and empowerment. Mm-hmm. Q2. That which is not urgent but important.
Right. Am I picking these up in any order?
Any way you want. You want to get them all in there because they're all important.
Can I move the little rocks?
Well, you have the little rocks as they are now, but you can't go above this.
Okay. Can I put this down?
Sure. Okay, the next rock she's putting in there is called relationships and family. She's trying to make it so she can get them all in there on the assumption that by moving the other ones around, it makes more space. You didn't look at that third rock you put in there. That's employment, some key employment issue, and then you put major projects here. I can't get it above there.
I haven't worked it yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not going to work.
That's called Service Community Church. Do you ever feel like this?
Yes.
How many feel like this?
going?
Yeah,
Oh.
you can try to get them in there. You're a hands-on person.
I am. Well. It's not very flat.
She just put down the sharpen the saw. How many frequently do that? I just don't have time today to sharpen the saw. You ever been too busy driving to take time to get gas?
This is important.
Vacation's important to her.
Oh,
By moving the little things around, you might squeeze in one more of those big major things.
does that count?
It's almost. Wow, that is good. You know, if it doesn't fit, force it.
Do I really put all of these in here?
Well, no. You can neglect a big opportunity if you want.
No.
Here's something that's called urgent and important. It's a quadrant 1 thing that is blindsiding you, that it's your biggest client, that if you don't get back to that client now, you've given up your vacation. And you have no special block of time just for yourself. You have no young children. I'll tell you what you can do if you want to.
What's that?
You can take a whole different approach. You have a totally fresh bowl. You can work out of a different paradigm altogether. You can do anything you want.
So I can use that bucket. That's what you're saying?
Anything, yeah.
Well, then I'd rather put these in the bottom. And then pour the little pebbles on top. Vacation.
Okay, she has sharpening the saw, planning, preparation, spouse,
Vacation.
employment,
Big opportunity.
big opportunity,
Important and urgent. Block of time. Community. Church. Those young children keep looking at me. Glad my husband's not here. No, I dump these in there.
okay?
It's gonna work.
You got all the important things in first, right?
That's right.
That's great. What did you learn?
I learn if I have an opportunity to do all the things that are important first and block out when I have the fullest amount available, and then all the little things will fill in the important thing.
Even if this were higher with the green rocks, you may neglect some of those, see?
Mm-hmm.
But so what?
Those are just fillers.
Fillers, and they're not important. These things you've decided are the most important things. Did you also notice anything else about each of these things? Common characteristic of each of the big rocks. What have they to do with, or who?
With myself.
Self.
Some had to do with others. They all
With others.
affected
All
others.
had to do with relationships and different roles that you've got. So what if you were to shift to a paradigm of deciding, first of all, what your whole life is about, so that you have a philosophical basis on which to make all of the decisions about what are the big rocks, the middle-sized, small rocks, and so forth. Put the big rocks in very first, the most important things, then the other ones accordingly. And to get out of daily planning altogether, because if you're in the daily planning, what's already happened?
The little rocks are already filling up my day.
Absolutely, and all you're doing now is prioritizing crises. And you have a big rock like this, like a major project, just like you tried to do. There's just no way you can fit that in. So what if you had the philosophy of relationships rather than schedules, and to organize your whole life around relationships, around the roles that you have with yourself and with other people? First. Well, that's the whole idea. Thank you very much. Let's hear it for Elizabeth. Very few people have had profound scripting in win-win. How many of us here have had scripting, that is, socializing processes from many experiences in many settings toward win-lose? How many have been scripted or mentored a little more toward lose-win? How many have been scripted that when you really get into interdependent situations where you have to cooperate in order to accomplish a commonly desired goal, that the best you can come up with, realistically, is compromise? How many have been scripted in that way? We're talking here about these scripting sources, where people get their models and their mentors. Entire cultures, entire groups or organizations, not just individuals, script. You almost get absorbed into the milieu, the climate of an organization or a family, and a lot of people never even think about it. It's the air they breathe. They never question it. It's like the pair of glasses. You never really question the lens. That's literally how the scripting toward win-lose or lose-win, or just the kind of narcissistic, selfish approach of win starts. Let's just look at some of those. First, the family. Particularly if love is given conditionally. In most people's lives, they've been powerfully scripted toward win-lose. The key scripting, the key mentoring and modeling is in the first few years with the family. That's why I often say to parents that the kindest thing that a husband or a wife can do for their children is to treat the husband or the wife, the spouse, with tremendous respect and love and consideration, and to model in the home a win-win approach to problem solving rather than a fighting approach or a flighting approach, kind of giving up. Always be grateful for the child that tests you the most, because it's that child that enables you to show unconditional love, love without condition. And when the other children sense that, they too know they are loved unconditionally. But if you love conditionally, and you've got one that really tests you to the very limits, and you, in a sense, give in to a win-lose spirit, or a lose-win spirit to where you just kind of bag the child, just have your way, do your thing, or whatever, you've instantly communicated to the rest, when push comes to shove, if it gets too far, you too will be loved conditionally. And the root of unconditional love is so basic to the concept of the abundance mindset, see, to where your security comes from within instead of from without, where you're compared to other people. Because if you're constantly in a state of comparison, then obviously you're going to be scripted emotionally toward win-lose. So basic. And that's in the family. And there are so many things you can do in the family. The most foundational one is how you treat your spouse. And then how you treat the child that tests you the very most. Then do everything you can to create a win-win approach in all that takes place. We used to do our family work parties on Saturday morning. So we'd set a goal to have so much done by a certain time, and that everyone would do what's necessary, and then we would have a special kind of party or some reward. We'd go do something as a family. In bowling, we would go for a family score instead of just for individual scores. There are so many ways you can start to inculcate the spirit of win-win. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't a place also for some parlor games and competition. The key thing is that there's respect for both forms of human interaction. They each have their place in life, but let's not push out the interdependency and the cooperation in the name of everything is a big competition. I would say that if you're in the school business, or if you could influence the school business, to try to get a spirit of teamwork at school. Get people to work as teams instead of individually only. I'm not against individual work as well. That's important. But also teamwork, where they learn to interact with other people and to come up with better solutions. And I would do away with all normal distribution curves. I'd have people either be graded against a standard which was clearly communicated, in which you as a teacher said, my job is to help you. My job is not to judge you, it's to help you reach the standard. A grade will come out in terms of that standard, but my job is to help every one of you get an A. But a lot of people were raised, in a sense, in a school where collaboration and cooperation was called cheating. And they're getting programmed toward win-lose right in the school. The problems in society are problems of interdependency. They really are. Are they not? Think about it. Think of every field of human endeavor. So I would say, try to influence schools toward teams, teamwork, more cooperation. So the application of this way of thinking at home, think of all of the different ways at school, and also the way they relate to their peers. Avoid comparison languages between people. You're better, you're prettier, you're more handsome, you're the one that stood out. Just kind of avoid comparisons. And yet most of us have been powerfully raised in this kind of win-lose scripting where criticisms, complaining, and comparison and competition were just the way things are. How many can relate to that? See, most of us can. Oh, athletics. Let me just mention a couple there. I saw my son Stephen training his son Stephen to prepare for a particular soccer game. And he was talking about the goals to be accomplished. I was so impressed by that. So I went to my son Joshua in his soccer game and basically said to him, son, let's talk about what some of the goals could be. What do we want to accomplish? You know, in his mind, primarily because of the culture, was what? Win. Okay? So we put that down as one of the goals. We want to win. Now, do you want to try your hardest? Do you want to do your best? Would that be another goal? Yeah? Yeah. What if you tried your hardest and achieved that goal even though you didn't win? Now, what about a team spirit? Do you want to pull together as a team instead of just having hot-dogging, grandstanding people that want all the attention? Do you want to assist people and be happy for them and be happy for the people that hardly ever have a chance to play so that they can develop some skills too and really hope for other people's successes? What would you think of that? Another goal. Have you ever gone to a game where you had fun till you lost, then it was no fun? What about having fun? And probably the most important goal of all is learn. To learn. What did you learn? What did the team learn? And so, since that time we started that process, we literally, after every game, go through the 5 goals. Did you try your hardest? Did you win? We lost. Did you try your hardest? I did. Did you work as a team? Did you try to assist? Were you happy for other people's successes? Yes, I felt good about that. Did you have fun, son? I did. It's a lot of fun. It's more fun, he said, when we win. Yeah, it is. But that doesn't mean you can't have fun when you lose. Did you learn? What did you learn? Do you think the team learned? What did the coach say to you afterwards? Look, you accomplished 4 of the 5 goals. That's tremendous, son. One time you won. You accomplished 5 of the 5 goals. And you learned. I mean, that'll help you better accomplish the next time you play. You study every field of human endeavor. You study every problem-solving process in every profession without an exception. And you'll always find to understand precedes action. To understand precedes judgment. Lawyers go through a discovery process, often even prepare the case for the opposing counsel. Doctors diagnose before they prescribe. Teachers pre-assess before they teach. What does the amateur salesperson do? Sells products. What does the professional salesperson do? Sells solutions. It's habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. The tendency in almost all people initially is to want to be understood, or if they do seek to understand, they seek with the intent to reply, with the intent to in some way influence, to some way bring the person about, to accomplish their own end, not with the intent to understand. Now, what's your first name?
Hal.
Hal? Why does Hal wear those glasses?
See better.
Okay, but what did the optometrist do before he prescribed? He diagnosed. The optometrist tried to understand. The optometrist was first influenced before attempting to influence. And that helped in the diagnosis and the prescription. And that is why Hal wears these glasses. Can I borrow your glasses for a second?
You'll love these. These will really change your paradigm.
These are more powerful? My friend, you've liked these, haven't you?
A long time.
For a long time. We're sure they'll help you.
Whoa.
Whoa! My friend. What's your first name?
Anna.
Anna? Try harder. I mean, really give those lenses the college try. That help you now?
No.
No. Think positively. I mean, there's nothing wrong, Anna, with this program that a good positive attitude can't correct.
Dizzy.
Getting dizzy? This is the company way, Anna. How current's your resume? You like them now?
No.
They look good on you, Anna. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Great.
See, we all feel they look good on you. Anna. Daughter, your mother and I, for many years, have distilled the wisdom of our life for your benefit. That's intergenerational wisdom too, Anna. We've learned it from before. And we put them in the form of those lenses. We've done our best. Anna, you like them now?
They're great, but I still can't see.
They're great, but I can't see. That's kind of a double message, Anna. I mean, do you have any idea the kinds of sacrifices that your mother and I have made for you? The things we have done for your benefit? Huh? In fact, you know what your mother even did to bring you into the world? And the efforts we're making to give to you every opportunity? I mean, what more do we have to say to you? Anna? Like them now?
No.
She's got some integrity. Usually people capitulate. But usually I don't give them that strong of a lens. When they capitulate, I then move to the next person. How do you like them?
I like them. You have to learn the rest of it.
That's right. For all those who are quick studies, they are rewarded. You can wear them the rest of the afternoon. Are those tears of gratitude? There you are, my friend. You can see again. I could feel your anxiety level. Now, when I'm convinced I'm right, when you're convinced you're right, do we really want other people's opinions? How many of us, when we are in that mental state, use those methods? You may not use the more extreme ones. You may just simply use the more common ones. Try harder. Just think positively. It'll make the difference.
What's so scary is if you don't use those methods and you let somebody talk, seek first to understand, you might have your mind changed. And a lot of us don't want our mind changed. We want to stay on that same path that we feel comfortable with.
It's very interesting what he just said. If we really start listening, you may be influenced, particularly if our security lies Habit 6, synergize, in a sense, is the fruit of the spirit of win-win. Habit 4, the spirit of seeking first to understand, then to be understood. Habit 5. Then what happens is a very powerful thing. When people begin to interact together genuinely and they're open to each other's influence, they begin to get new insight. Something happens to them both. It creates the possibility of third alternatives, not the either-or approach, not win-lose, lose-win, not compromise. Compromise is 1 + 1 = 1.5. Positive synergy is 1 + 1 = 3. Negative synergy, 1 + 1 = 1/2. In other words, so much of the effort and energy is spent in the adversarialism, in conflict and defensive and protective communication, that literally it just wastes the energy of the enterprise, of the marriage, of the family. Anyone who's experienced sustained conflict and contention, they know that very little productivity can come out. So just remember those definitions. Synergy is where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Synergy means you can literally produce something that neither of you could have produced before, and even adding what each can produce separately, 1 + 1 = 2, is not synergy. Negative synergy, where there is internal contention and adversarialism, produces less than even what one person can usually produce on their own, because so much of the energy is wasted going in the wrong direction and is counterproductive. Now, the traditional paradigm is one of compromise. That's literally where most people think we end up realistically, and it often is the case if you're in low-trust cultures. But compromise isn't necessary if people will pay the price with habits 4, 5, and 6. The key to habit 6, synergize, in fact, you could almost say the fundamental principle of 6, is to always value differences. It's not something you just accept that there are differences. It's not something that you tolerate. It's not something that is legislated through diversity programs. It is something that you celebrate. I mean, genuinely, the strength lies in differences, not in similarities. However, if there is not a common purpose and a common set of principles, a buy-in to these universal principles we've been talking about, diversity, differences, can result in chaos and negative synergy. And it spawns prejudice, prejudgment. And remember, prejudice is a protection against being vulnerable. If I get my security from my ability to manipulate people as things, and I can classify them, it protects me, see? I don't have to deal with people. I just deal with categories, and I have them labeled, and then I get into the self-fulfilling prophecy, and it is a seedbed to all kinds of other problems. That's why it requires this integrity of the first 3 habits. It requires the development of a common purpose, a common sense of meaning, a common sense of mission. What is it we're about? The moment you can achieve that, then run with differences in perceptions, in gifts, in talents. The more you have difference, the better. The capability of inventing new approaches, third alternatives, is increased exponentially because of differences. Strength literally lies in difference. These aren't just nice words to value differences. These are moral imperatives for those that really want to solve problems in entirely new ways. Go for synergy. So the moment someone disagrees with you, what do you say to them? Good. You see it differently. That's why I so value my wife's input, because I'll say, well, how do you see it? And she'll see it totally differently. But honestly, if you can learn to value differences and teach your children, the moment there's a difference, run with it. It's an advantage, not a disadvantage. Habit 7 is the habit of renewal. What are you doing? Well, you can see I'm sawing down this tree. I bet you're tired. I am. Well, how long have you been doing it? Oh, I spent 2-3 hours. Oh, I bet you're really beat. Say, well, why don't you sharpen the saw? Too busy sawing, dum-dum. How many here have ever been too busy driving? You didn't take time to get gas. In physics, it's called the second law of thermodynamics. Everything breaks down. Entropy. It becomes disordered. The opposite of sharpening the saw is to leave it dull until the blade breaks, till the mind becomes dull, the spirit insensitive, the body flabby, where everything has gone to pot. The concept of sharpening the saw, personally, interpersonally, managerially, organizationally, is the concept of continuous improvement. Kaizen, continuous learning, forever getting better. Habit 7 is the habit that focuses on production capability. Habit 7, if done right, automatically develops the other 6 habits, because it takes a high level of proactivity and of responsibility to consistently sharpen the saw. I do not know of one activity that has as great a leverage factor in life as habit 7. What do I mean by leverage? See, if you put the fulcrum in the middle and you put in 1 unit of effort here, you get out 1 unit of productivity here. If you move that fulcrum over, you can put in 1 unit of effort here and get out 100 units of productivity over there. Habit 7 moves the fulcrum over. You may only spend a few hours in an entire week, a week made up of 168 hours. And those few hours will affect the quality, the productivity, the satisfaction, the quality of relationships, the quality of decision making, of every other hour. But the problem is, habit 7 lies in quadrant 2. It is not urgent. That's why most people neglect it. They do it very unsystematically. They hit and miss on it. Sometimes they get kind of imbalanced on it. They focus only in one dimension. See, basically there are 4 dimensions in life. The body, the mind, the spirit, and relationships. We call that the social, emotional side. Social is our relationship with others. Emotional is our relationship with ourselves. Those are basically the 4 dimensions of organizations as well. It has its economic side to produce the bottom line towards some mission within a certain value system. That is the spiritual side. It must also have its culture of high trust. That's the social side. In order to have empowerment in the development and use of people's talents, that's the mental side. So those are the 4 dimensions. If you study all of history and psychology and philosophy, inevitably you'll find the same 4 dimensions constantly mentioned. But all 4 need to be attended to in a consistent and regular and balanced way in order to properly sharpen the saw. Let me share with you a few thoughts and challenges to encourage you in the process of developing these habits. One of the most important things you can do is to share these ideas with others, with your family, with your friends and associates. Don't just retell what you've learned, but talk about the insights you've acquired and the ideas that you want to implement. Because that's where the real learning takes place. It is in the teaching and in the sharing. Get with a coach or someone who is also working on these habits. Set a specific time to get together and keep that date. Share insights into what has worked for you and what has not. Discover together how you can overcome the challenges you face in developing all of these habits. Set goals to improve in specific areas. Focus on a single habit. Look over your materials. Read and reflect on how you can improve in this habit. Revisit the commitments you've made to yourself throughout the course. Don't try to change everything all at once. Listen with your heart. Determine those things that are most important for you to work on right now. Remember, don't give up. Be patient. A strong character is not developed overnight. Choose to live your life based upon correct principles. All of the 7 habits are based on universal principles which have endured throughout the ages. Live the habits. Work within your circle of influence and become a transition figure in your work, your community, and your family. Set aside time to go to a quiet place to really think about your mission. What is it you stand for? What is your purpose? What are your values? Keep working through your mission statement until it inspires you. Then live by your mission. Choose to put first things first. Search for a win-win in every situation. Learn to stop and listen to others first. Listen with your heart. Value differences. Look at differences as the springboard to finding the third alternative. Finally, remember to always sharpen the saw, to renew yourself in a very balanced way. The power of these habits is in the doing, in the living, in the continuous, day-by-day improvements. It's a constant effort. We need to make these habits and these principles a part of our very life. We must pay the price by actually living them, rather than just understanding them intellectually. I love the quote from T.S. Eliot. Think about this. He once said, "We must never cease from exploring, and the end of our exploring will be to arrive where we began and know the place for the first time." You see, in a very real sense, you already know these habits in your heart. The exciting thing is to embark on a lifelong adventure, an exciting time of literally internalizing them and living them and experiencing the magnificent fruits that come in the totality of our lives.